Well, the school, the teachers and the administration are critical in the larger scope of protecting our kids. They are a critical component in the entire response from first responders. They're part of that. So it's imperative that they take those first steps to protect those kids, isolate those kids from any active shooter that's on campus, and prepare for the response that's going to be coming within the first few minutes. They are the first line of defense.
Several characteristics within their behavior that can come up, and there's actually a list of 10 or 12 things that should get a teacher's attention. So if a student is just acting up, doesn't mean they're going to become an active shooter. But if it's an involved and in-touch school with what's going on, then we know that a student perhaps is having some family troubles, perhaps a divorce or suicide or drug use in the family. That combined with perhaps maybe bringing a weapon to school at one point, or maybe a teacher notices that the students' artwork or essays are becoming increasingly violent. And there's these things called leakage that people are aware of. So a student who is thinking about perhaps committing violence at his school will post what he's thinking on places like Facebook and Twitter and so forth. So there's signs that in combination they can mean something, and they can be used to prevent a future active shooter event.
Now, an active shooter, a lot of times, until the shooting begins, you can't identify them. You can't. You don't know who they are. They blend in. They're another kid on campus. However, once things do start, you start listening for that dynamic intelligence, the gunshots going off, and hopefully you're going to see who that shooter is. And getting the description of that shooter to later relay to the officers that are going to be responding is critical. But a lot of times you're not going to know until the bullets start flying. Jeez. All of those, obviously, tremendous tragedies on educational institutions. Our youth, our students were victims. It was senseless killing that took place. And unfortunately, in society nowadays, this is something that we need to prepare for. It is happening more and more often. And it's all of our responsibilities to protect our kids, protect our campuses, protect our businesses from such incidents. But it is just senseless, random killing. The purpose of these incidents are to do nothing but mayhem and destruction of humans.
Is that each of those shooters had a desire to hit a particular number. So the Virginia Tech shooter wanted to shoot more people than had ever been shot in a school shooting. Adam Lanza had a hero who'd been an active shooter that killed 77 in Norway, and that was his hero. And then the Columbine shooting, they were going for numbers and trying to get national attention for doing what they were doing. A lot of times there's things that keep people from saying something, but if it's suspicious and you say nothing, and that same person does something suspicious down the road and a second person says nothing, and we miss two opportunities perhaps to bring this person to the attention of the appropriate authorities.
Business people, the school administrators and faculties, again, these are our eyes on the streets for the officers. They are the ones that are going to see something suspicious. They're the one that's going to understand and know that something is out of place. That person I haven't seen at the school before, or that car shouldn't be parked there. And absolutely they need to respond that or report that. They need to report that immediately, not dwell on it and think about whether or not it should be checked out. Because if we dwell on it and we think about it too long, then it's too late. Yeah, cooperation is the key to success in any type of response protocols that we implement. The school officials need to cooperate in the sense of having a pre-plan for their school, a plan that is prepared in collaboration with the law enforcement entity. So that right there, that cooperation right there in the beginning is essential, that there's a plan in place that everybody is aware of. Officers know how the school's going to respond, and the school responds in that fashion. Now, once officers do arrive on scene, then it's critical that the school officials, administrators, and teachers that are not caught up within the scene itself, inside the crime scene, if you will, those that aren't being barricaded in buildings or rooms, that they offer any assistance they can at the direction of law enforcement. And they're going to need to provide such things as where are the controls as far as electrical and gas and lighting and that sort of thing in the school. They're going to need to provide layouts of the school, somebody who really knows the school. Just a variety of other things to be available to the responding command of law enforcement and cooperate at their discretion.
Run, hide, fight, the biggest thing they have to keep in mind is, so when I talk about run, hide, fight, the first thing I say is for each of those three possible scenarios, run, hide, fight, the sentence should begin with have a plan. So if you're going to run, you got to know where you're running. So something that has to be thought of beforehand. So if I'm going to run, where am I going to run? Where are my evacuation routes? What are my escape routes? Where are you going to run? Where are you going to try to run as far away from the threat as you possibly can?
You should run. Run away from the shooting. Run off the campus. Run outside of the business if that's where it's happening. Wherever it's happening, get yourself out of that facility, out of that institution. So speaking about hiding, if you can't run off campus, you want to hide where you can, the closest spot you can, hopefully in a locked room, hopefully someplace you can barricade, but you just want to make it difficult for that shooter, that suspect, to reach you.
Hide gets tricky sometimes because if you have someone in the kind of cafeteria, getting under a table is not hiding. That's freezing and you can become a victim. Hiding means you can get into a room that you can perhaps secure, turn the lights off, and lock that room. Fight. If it comes down that you have no choice but to fight, then absolutely fight. Chances are, if you don't fight, you're going to die. If you fight, then you have a chance to survive that event.
You know, fighting, as a last resort, if you have to fight to save your life, that's what you need to do. And you need to grab anything you can. You need to improvise the weapons. It's a chair or it's a baseball bat or something you might have close. But fight. You got to understand that the thing that stands between you and death is your will to survive, your will to overcome the threat that might be attacking you, and then you fight for your life.